Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moments. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Swallowed Star Part 186 based on novel. So let's start. The preparation and force of the Temple Union had completely exceeded what the demons thought, so as soon as Samijina had launched the first wave, they suffered tremendously. The Berserk demons ran very quickly, able to match the birdie demons in the sky over short distances. The demonic eye soldiers were much slower. As a result, as soon as the attack began, the demonic eye soldiers lagged behind the other two clans. It was not because the Berserk demons and birdie demons wanted to earn greater merit in the battle. That was just how their method of battle worked. In particular with the Berserk demons, once they had entered their battle state, they would completely go berserk. They would be unstoppable. They were obviously great for charging into enemy lines. However, they were not particularly skilled with cooperating with other clans. Otherwise, with the Berserk demons' battle prowess, the demon god of death Samijina would have never sent them up first to serve as cannon fodder. The Berserk demons were the most numerous among the three clans, amounting to over 25,000. They were just about to reach 5 kilometers from the southeastern mountain pass. It was also at this moment that hexagrams began to light up under the southeastern fort. The resplendent light immediately turned the area below the walls dazzling. Due to differing elements, the walls had even become multicolored. They were summoning hexagrams. They varied in size, such that some could create gates of light, while some were only tiny hexagrams. The beasts they summoned varied in strength as well, but they had an advantage in terms of numbers. All of the summoners that had been allocated to the Assassin Temple were sent to the southeastern fort. Coupled with the summoners who had been sent to the southeastern mountain pass in the first place, just the number of summoners in the fort had amounted to 3,000. Although most of them had relatively weaker cultivations, summoners definitely played a huge role on the battlefield, because most of the beasts they summoned were elemental beings, unafraid of wounds or death. Even if the magical beasts summoned from other realms died, it would not affect them too much. As long as they were not magical beasts bound to the summoner by a pact, it would not affect their cultivation. The first round of hexagrams directly exceeded 1,000. Afterwards, over 1,000 magical beasts appeared below the walls of the southeastern fort. Some beasts flew, while others ran along the ground. Their strength ranged from the 2nd and 3rd step all the way to the 7th and 8th step. Some of the most powerful magical beasts were even at the 9th step. Compared to the main army of the demons, these magical beasts seemed rather miserable. However, their willingness to fight to the death was unmatched. Moreover, most of the magical beasts could use magic. The magical beasts faced the attacks of the Berserk demons and went up to receive them without any hesitation at all, launching wild attacks. The reason why the Myriad Beasts Mountain Pass was one of the two most impregnable passes of the Temple Union was because of the huge effect summoners could play in battle. Although the attacks of the Berserk demons were powerful, normal Berserk demons only had a cultivation around the 3rd or 4th step. At the same time, the strength of the Berserk demons came from their physical prowess. They were not skilled in magic. Before the Berserk demon army could collide with the magical beasts, half of the 1,000 magical beasts unleashed magic. The innate magic of the magical beasts varied drastically, but it was all very deadly. In that moment, colorful lights erupted in the Berserk demon army like fireworks. At least several hundred Berserk demons died to the attacks. At the same time, their speed decreased. The innate magic of the magical beasts may not have been particularly powerful, but they attacked even faster than ordinary human mags. As a result, once the Berserk demons had approached them, the magical beasts had already launched a 3rd wave of magic attacks. They had killed at least 2,000 Berserk demons now. Samijina's expression twisted as he watched on from a distance. He had a vague feeling that the humans seemed to be prepared for his sudden attack. And, since when did the southeastern fort have so many summoners? With over 1,000 summoners, the spiritual temple sure was generous. The first wave of magical beasts collided with the Berserk demons and they were destroyed very quickly. After all, the Berserk demons outnumbered them completely. The Berserk demons were also from the same clan and they fought extremely wildly, so how could just 1,000 magical beasts stop their tracks? Having lost so many clansmen to the magical beasts, the Berserk demons had already begun berserking. However, just when the first wave of magical beasts were cut to pieces by the Berserk demons, a second wave was summoned. There were also more than 1,000 magical beasts, and they were all stronger than the previous wave. A large quantity of magic was released which forcefully pushed back the Berserk demons at the very front. The losses that the Berserk demons also increased drastically. Even until now, the demonic eye soldiers had yet to catch up. After the second wave was a third wave. Under the attacks of the third wave of magical beasts, the Berserk demons were completely held back. Having contained their original momentum, it would be difficult for them to deal with these magical beasts quickly. Just as the battle on the ground began, the birdie demons in the sky arrived as well. The birdie demons were individually more powerful than the Berserk demons, and they amounted to 10,000 in number. The demons always possessed an advantage for battles in the air. At the very front of the birdie army were a few golden birdie demons, followed by a great group of grand birdie demons, and then regular birdie demons. They were like a dark cloud as they flew towards the fort. However, what welcomed them was magnificent magic. That's right. The mags in the southeastern fort did not touch the Berserk demons below. They were waiting for the aerial demon army. The birdie demons were skilled in lightning attacks, but only grand birdie demons could release the lightning outside their bodies as ranged attacks. However, the range of the human mags was much greater than them. The Mage Temple really was a powerful existence, ranked second out of the 6 temples. When Li Jingxi allocated mags to other forts, he gave each temple mags of a single element. The 1,500 mags sent to the warrior temple were all fire mags. A major force among them was the Fire Mage army, once led by Lin Xin. At the same time, there were 500 earth mags from the Exorcist Mountain Pass. Not only did the southeastern fort possess 3,000 summoners now, they also had 2,000 mags. They could no longer be compared to the past in terms of long-ranged attacks. The 1,500 fire mags were obviously the ones who launched the first wave of magic. They did not launch their attacks together. Instead, they formed groups of 500, launching 3 waves of attack. The spells they used was the same, all bursting fireballs. The most simple bursting fireball was a spell of the 3rd step, while the mags that the Mage Temple had sent out for battle were at the 3rd step at the very least. Otherwise, they would not be able to do much on the battlefield. As the red balls of fire rose up into the air and traveled towards the birdie demons were completely dumbstruck. They had even begun to wonder whether they were attacking the right place. Was this still the southeastern fort? Surely this was the Tongbal Mountain Pass instead. However, no matter how they felt, the bursting fireballs would not just vanish because they wanted it to. Afterwards, a cloud of fire appeared in the air. Due to failing to anticipate the southeastern fort would have so many mags and becoming extremely exhausted from all the traveling, the leader of the birdie demons had arranged its clansmen in a rather tight formation. As a result, the flock of birds turned into a cloud of fire. 1,500 bursting fireballs rained down on the birdie demon army in 3 waves. The Berserk demons below were rather miserable, but they were still much luckier than the cloud of fire in the air. When the mags launched a collective attack as an organized group, there would definitely be a disaster on the battlefield. The birdie demons had come quickly and also retreated quickly. After the fireworks in the air, only 6,000 out of the 10,000 birdie demons were able to escape. A total of 4,000 birdie demons died under the bursting fireballs. However, the birdie demons did launch some attacks. When the bursting fireballs rose up in the air, they also tossed spears of lightning desperately at the city walls. At least 5,000 spears of lightning rained down above the city walls. They were obviously targeting the mags and summoners. If they could deal a heavy blow to the mags and summoners, the losses earlier would have been worth it. Unfortunately, this was still the southeastern fort, not the Tongbal Mountain Pass. In the territory of the warrior temple, since when did they lack shield warriors? The relationship between the warrior temple and Mage Temple had always been close. However, the Mage Temple could only lend 300 to 500 mags to the warrior temple at most in the past. It was even worse with the summoners from the spiritual temple. They would not even send a single one in the past. Chen Hongbao was famous for his stinginess. However, the situation at the warrior temple only improved now. The summoners, mags, and priests amounted to 8,000. They were Chiao Yonghao's treasures. As soon as the 3 magic troops had arrived at the southeastern fort, Chiao Yonghao immediately gave the command for them to pair up and assist each other. Each mage was assigned a warrior of the 5th step at the very least to protect them. Mags of higher cultivations would be assigned a warrior with the same cultivation at the very least. Chiao Yonghao gave these shield warriors a very simple command, which was to treat the mags beside them like their wives and protect them regardless of the consequences. What kind of role could 8,000 magic users play on the battlefield? This was also the reason why Chiao Yonghao rubbed his hands eagerly, ready to go at it when he heard Sami Jina had led an army of 500,000 demon elites his way. Since when did the warrior temple have so much confidence? Their method of pairing up was warmly received by the mags as well. It also allowed the mags to quickly become a part of the big family that the southeastern fort was, merging with the warrior harmoniously. On the battlefield, the mags were the sharpest spear, while the warriors beside them were the toughest shields. As a result, as the spears of lightning rained down from the birdie demons, the shield warriors immediately made the defenses above the walls as tough as a tortoise's shell. Hiding behind them, the mags could not even see the spears of lightning, covered up by the shields. The long spears directly bounced off the shields and fell back down the walls. There was a special characteristic about the spears of lightning from the birdie demons. Towards the back, there were 4 small flecks which would ensure the spears to fly straight and not horizontally. However, these flecks had now become a nightmare for the berserk demons. The spears of lightning that bounced off the shields obviously could not identify friend from foe. Having just destroyed the 3 waves of magical beasts and suffered heavy losses, the berserk demons were now met with several thousand spears of lightning that rained down from the sky. They really did come just too suddenly. At the same time, the demons had gone berserk. The ones who discovered the falling spears of lightning were able to react in time, but those who failed to discover the spears or were careless became the unlucky ones. Basically 2/3 of the 5,000 spears of lightning had been reflected below the walls. At least 1,000 berserk demons died or were incapacitated by the spears of lightning. Miserable was no longer an appropriate word to describe this. However, the berserk demons were still berserk demons after all. After suffering heavy blows after heavy blows and losing over 4,000 of their clansmen, they continued to charge towards the walls of the southeastern fort. They arrived at the walls and immediately used the spikes on their arms to stab into the walls, so they could quickly climb up. Although the walls of the southeastern fort were rather tough, the berserk demons could scale it as long as they could gain the slightest footing using the spikes. Now, the walls that stood 100 meters tall were covered in berserk demons, while the demonic eye soldiers behind had finally arrived as well. There were over 13,000 demonic eye soldiers, with plenty of powerhouses among them. Although they were not as fast as the berserk demons, they were not slow either. After all, they had 3 legs. However, the demonic eye soldiers were not as mindless as the berserk demons. They were very clever. The reason why they did not charge into battle immediately was to let the berserk demons attack. Wouldn't they be safer once the humans on the walls were busy with the berserk demons? They had calculated the situation extremely well, which was why they only reached the walls just now. The leading demonic eye soldier had a total of 12 eyes. It produced a sharp screech. Immediately, all of the demonic eye soldiers fell into formation and all of their eyes became fixed on the walls. Their demonic eyes could only launch straight beams. It was not particularly effective as they had to attack from below, but the leader of the demonic eye soldiers was very clever. His objective was very simple, which was to directly attack the walls. Even if the walls of the southeastern fort were 100 meters thick, they would not be able to withstand several rounds of attacks from 13,000 demonic eye soldiers. Once the walls were breached, what was the southeastern fort supposed to use to stop the army of 500,000? Their method of attack was sly. And, as soon as he had arrived, 10 eyes on the leading demonic eye soldier's head unleashed attacks, leaving behind a charred patch a meter deep in the walls. Without a doubt, he was indicating to the other demonic eye soldiers where to attack. If the demonic eye soldiers really did succeed in launching several waves of attack, it would definitely be quite a blow to the southeastern fort. The berserk demons had already begun climbing the walls now, while the birdie demons in the air responded cleverly as well, quickly dispersing from formation and looking for any opportunities to attack. How was the southeastern fort supposed to stop these demonic eye soldiers now? Of course they had a wave, because the southeastern fort was no longer the battlefield of the warrior temple, but the battlefield of the temple union. A sharp whistle suddenly sounded from the walls, and before the demonic eye soldiers could understand what was going on, flocks of them collapsed like felled wheat. Figures actually emerged from the ground one after another, slaughtering the demonic eye soldiers at a close range. Assassins. They were assassins. There were over 10,000 assassins hidden below the walls. They had always been waiting patiently. They let the berserk demon pass them, as their target were the demonic eye demons who used magic attacks. The demonic eye soldiers were huge and possessed 3 legs each, but they were truly magic troops. They were highly unskilled in close combat. They had never thought that the threat did not come from the southeastern fort, but from below their feet, launching fatal attacks at them just like the slinkers of their own race. The demonic eye soldiers had definitely been outsmarted. If they had accompanied the berserk demons, then the berserk demons could have provided them with some support. However, they had already fallen behind completely, and they were a certain distance away from the walls as well, so it was impossible for the berserk demons to realize they were in danger. 10,000 assassins. What kind of force was that? In basically under 3 minutes, all 13,000 demonic eye soldiers were annihilated by the assassins without a single left alive. If magic troops encountered assassins, what other fate could they suffer apart from death? It was no different from an assassin standing right behind a mage, with his dagger around the mage's neck. Watching the battle from afar, Sami Jina became stunned by this sight. He never would have dreamt that the end outcome of his army of 50,000 would be this. The humans clearly had prepared beforehand. The assassins clearly had been hiding there long before they had arrived, or how could he have been fooled? Only then did Sami Jina realize the southeastern fort had been expecting their arrival and had made sufficient preparations. The warrior temple's southeastern fort that he believed only required 3 waves of full-powered attacks to penetrate it had actually become so tough. And the aspect that threatened him the most was the appearance and numbers of summoners, mags, and assassins. Didn't the 6 human temples fight alone? Why would so many powerhouses from other temples appear in the southeastern fort? Just as the assassins launched their attacks, the berserk demons on the walls were devastated as well. There were a portion of berserk demons that made it onto the wall, but what awaited them were the sharp blades of the knights and warriors. How were they supposed to pose a threat to the southeastern fort with such measly numbers? They would require much more time and numbers if they even just wanted to whittle down their opponents. It was also at this moment that spikes grew from the walls of the southeastern fort. Long, earthen spikes sprouted from the walls without any prior signs. The berserk demons had basically covered the entire wall when that happened. There were at least 3,000 berserk demons simultaneously scaling the huge, wide wall, but in the next moment all of them were pinned to death there. The 500 earth mags had held back until now. They had finally taken action. When the corpses of berserk demons rained down from above, disturbing the demon army, the 10,000 assassins that had just ambushed the demonic eye soldiers ambushed from behind. Cooperating with them were bursting fireballs that fell from the sky. The berserk demons that amounted to 25,000 in number had actually been surrounded under the southeastern fort. Even if Sami Jina wanted to save them, it was too late. Streaks of golden light constantly rained down, illuminating the injured assassins. With the support from the priests, the strength of the assassins increased by several-fold. They were stronger than the berserk demons in the first place, and the berserk demons had already descended into chaos. There was also support from the fire mags and priests above, so it was pointless of the assassins to suffer any further losses. The birdie demons in the air were not stupid. They could not approach the southeastern fort at all, they would just become sitting ducks to the mags on the walls. The remaining 6,000 birdie demons immediately fled in terror, leaving behind a field of corpses below. A cheer immediately rang out from the southeastern fort like a tidal wave. Ranging from Chiao Yohao to the regular soldiers, their emotions and morale had been set alight in that moment. Over all the years the humans fought against the demons, they had never been as elated like right now. As a matter of fact, even the original force that the southeastern fort possessed could not have been defeated by the wave of 50,000 demons earlier. However, it was definitely impossible for them to handle this attack of land and air without suffering any losses at all. The battle prowess of the Berserk demons and Birdie demons was extraordinary, not to mention they were combined with a large number of demonic eye soldiers as well. They were all elites among the demons. However, it was different this time. Under the combined efforts of the 6 different vocations, the battle had already ended even without the priests fighting. It was a complete victory. The Berserk demons and demonic eye soldiers were completely annihilated, while they had almost lost half of the Birdie demons as well. With such great losses, even the commander of the army, Sami Jina, became rather furious. That was almost a tenth of their strength. Even though it was not truly their main forces, it was still a very important portion of their strength. This was the advantage that came with the 6 vocations working together. The combination of multiple vocations was far more effective than the 6 temples fighting alone. This was the first time the advantage of the Union had been demonstrated on the battlefield, which also brought ease to the powerhouses of the 6 vocations in the southeastern fort. Their overall strength was not as great as the demons, but under their combined efforts, it would be difficult for the demons to breach the mountain pass. The information that had arrived in time allowed them to make sufficient preparations. Samijina's face paled in anger as his eyes shone viciously. Send the dual-headed demon eagles into battle with the Birdie demons. Also send the blazing lions, demonic wolves, and panther demons. Have the demon carriers support them. Have the dike demons conceal themselves and head out. I'd like to see how many more traps they have. Garp, Stolas, Phoenix, head into battle and support the army. Even if you can't take the southeastern fort, I want you to create a breach. Yes. 3 demon gods appeared from behind. After greeting Sami Jina politely, they shot off 3 streaks of light. The demon army set off once more. Whether it was quality or quantity, the demon army this time had visibly improved. They amounted to over 100,000 and rushed toward southeastern fort once again, over land and in air. The demonic wolves and panther demons quickly charged forward under the protection of the huge blazing lions along the ground, while the Birdie demons that had been repelled earlier regrouped with the dual-headed demon eagles to form a stronger attack in the air. Most importantly, over a dozen demon carriers appeared among them. Not only were the demon carriers the fastest aerial magic troops among the demons, they could also incapacitate their opponents. Their disgusting mucus could strike fear into the heart of any human, regardless of vocation. Moreover, the army was led by demon gods this time. It was completely different from the probing attacks of before. Looking at the terrifying demon army in the distance, Jiao Yonghao could not help but change in expression. If it was in the past, a demon army like this could make the southeastern fort suffer heavy losses, or even come close to falling. The demon gods all varied in size and shape, but rarely did they ever appear on the battlefield. As a result, even as the previous temple head of the warrior temple, Jiao Yonghao was unable to tell the strength of these 3 demon gods. However, he could tell from the 3 shining demon god pillars in the distance that these demon gods definitely did not rank toward the bottom. Don't worry, temple head Chiao. I know these 3 demon gods, Yi Sanmi said steadily from beside Jiao Yonghao. All of the eternal heroes currently wore a large cloak, which covered their bodies. Listening to Yi Sanmi's calm voice, Jiao Yonghao could not help but become rather ashamed. Before the powerful demons, he was still unable to remain at ease. That's the 33rd demon god, Garp, the 36th demon god, Stolas, and the 37th demon god, Phoenix. These 3 specialize in support and magic, so they can play quite a large role on the battlefield. Their individual battle prowess is SOSO. Yi Sanmi might have slumbered for several thousand years, but his understanding of the demon gods was still better than the important members of the warrior temple. Aside from the demon god emperor, the names of all the demon gods would never change. In other words, no matter which generation of moon demon god it was, they would all be Visago, while the star demon gods would all be called Visago. This was why he could name the 3 demon gods. Mentioning their names, information regarding these 3 demon gods immediately flashed through Jiao Yonghao's head. he said sternly. Garp's known as the arcane demon god. He's skilled in arcane magic and is skilled in large-scale support. Among the 72 demon gods, he's basically the only demon god that purely focuses on support. His personal strength is very weak, but to be able to rank 33rd, his supporting ability is clearly very powerful. Stolas is known as the demon god of curses. He's skilled in various curses, which makes him extremely troublesome. Phoenix is known as the Dark Phoenix. He's skilled in fire and darkness magic. Although he ranks the lowest out of the three of them, he has the strongest combat prowess. After reciting the abilities of the three demon gods, Jiao Yonghao's heart weighed slightly heavier. These three demon gods could definitely play a terrifying role on the battlefield, but it also demonstrated that Samijina was unable to truly remain calm after the failure from before. This wave of attack would not be easy to stop. Leave Garb and the demon carriers to me, Yi Sanmi said indifferently. The demons don't know about our existence, so I'll give them a present. However, that'll be my only opportunity. As a result, I can only take care of one of the three demon gods. Once I attack one of them, the other two will definitely undergo the demon god transformation. This will be a tough battle. As they discussed the battle tactic, the demon army in the distance drew closer and closer. The arcane demon god Garb seemed no different from a human. Long, navy hair dropped down his back as he wore luxurious, silver robes. However, he seemed rather wretched, with a large, hooked nose and bulbous eyes. He also carried a thick blue magic staff. He flew by controlling the elements in the air. He did not use any wings at all. As he flew, Garb chanted to himself. Very soon, navy light enveloped the demon army below. Immediately, almost 10,000 demons at the very front were enveloped by this blue light and they suddenly charged forward with much greater speed. Arcane magic, agility boost. As a user of purely supportive magic, the arcane demon god Garb could cover an extremely large range with his magic. There was not a single human mage that could match him. He used the magic extremely quickly. After boosting the agility of the demon troops, another red light enveloped the blazing lions, demonic wolves, and panther demons. This was a strength boost. And this was only a beginning. If he was allowed to continually cast his arcane magic, the battle prowess of the demon army would double at the very least, while their tenacity on the battlefield would drastically increase as well. And this was under the circumstance that Garb had yet to undergo the demon god transformation. The demon god transformation could only last a limited amount of time. Clearly, he wanted to use it when it was most crucial. However, what he did not know was that he had already become Yi Sanmi's target. Opposed to Garb, Stolas and Phoenix had yet to take action, because their range was nowhere as great as Garb's and it was used against the enemy. As a result, they needed to get closer to the southeastern fort before they could use it. Garb was still another 5 kilometers away from the southeastern fort. Even for single targeting curses, there were barely any that could reach so far, so he did not feel that he was under any danger at all. On the walls of the southeastern fort, Yi Sanmi removed his cloak, which revealed an old face. His grey skin gave off a somewhat metallic luster, but his eyes were very special. They did not seem to belong to an undead at all. His pair of green eyes were bright and piercing. Only in their very depths could tiny green flames be seen leaping about. Yi Sanmi lifted his hand and grabbed at the air. Immediately, a huge bow appeared in his arms. The bow was even longer than his body. It was dark golden, but the bowstring shone with faint, seven-colored light. As soon as the bow appeared, Jiao Yonghao, who was only inches away from it, felt like his soul was being sucked away. There were many magnificent patterns on the bow, but it was all hidden away by the dark golden luster. Yi Sanmi held the bow by the center with his left hand and slowly raised it before him. He grabbed the bowstring with his right hand and just slowly drew it without an arrow. As he began drawing the arrow, Jiao Yonghao instinctively staggered a few steps back. The other people around him were forced to make some room as well. It was as if an invisible air stream now surrounded Yi Sanmi, rising up like a flame. As the bow was drawn, it also emitted their invisible flow of air, but strangely enough, both the dark golden color of the bow or the seven-colored light from the bowstring dimmed. They became inconspicuous. Was this a divine tool? Xiao Yonghao had great knowledge and wisdom, so he could tell the bow was extraordinary from the first glance. He could not help but gasp. The eternal hero actually possessed a divine tool. Not only was this an ancient divine tool, it seemed to be related to the ancient elves, because the pattern on the bow was something special to the ancient elves. Xiao Yonghao was unable to tell what it detailed, but he could tell that it was related to the elves. Garp's third arcane spell was completely very soon. He was a standalone demon god, without his own clan. As a result, he was not concerned by the deaths of the berserk demons and demonic eye soldiers earlier. He was just disdainful towards Samajina's commands. As the arcane demon god, he personally believed he was the best at controlling entire situations, but just because he did not possess any personal prowess, he had never been able to lead at the front lines. As a result, he felt bitter over this inability. It was finally time for him to enter the battlefield. Garp could finally vent this feeling of bitterness and have a great go at it, where he would show the other demon clans just how powerful his pure supportive abilities were. It was also at this moment that Garp's heart suddenly tightened. He automatically stopped the spell he was chanting. He only felt like a great, invisible hand had grabbed his heart, causing him indescribable pain. He could not help but grunt. He instinctively looked in the direction of the southeastern fort. What he saw were a pair of jade-green eyes and a huge bow. Impossible. How can an arrow reach me from so far away? Just as Garp felt speechless from shock and refused to believe that he could be attacked at such a range, a green fire shot into the sky from the top of the walls, reaching an altitude of over 100 meters. The ball of fire that had suddenly appeared made the demons jump in fright. Afterwards, a speck of seven-colored light shot over like a bolt of lightning from the green light in the air. I'm the target. Garp roared in realization inside as the sense of danger made him immediately use the power of his demon god pillar. The demon god pillar that belonged to the arcane demon god immediately shone with navy light within the demon encampment. Symbols lit up on the pillar like they had been revived, and they immediately rose up into the air, forming an even larger symbol which rushed towards Garp. However, it was still a little too late by the time Garp had reacted. The moment the speck of seven-colored light had been shot from the bow, the air within 100 meters of Yi Sanmi hummed. The seven-colored light only flew 100 meters away before completely vanishing. This video will end here.